Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. For this episode, we're going to need to paint a couple of mental pictures in our mind's eye. The first one is the caduceus. If you don't recognize the name, you will definitely recognize the image. Think of a short rod entwined by two snakes and topped with a pair of wings. The rod is pointed at the bottom with a ball on top. It looks kind of like a walking stick, but it's braided from top to bottom with a pair of snakes looking at each other. Behind their head is a set of wings. You've seen this many times before. It's the traditional symbol of Hermes, the Greek deity. Hermes was the protector of travelers, thieves, merchants, and orators. It's also used as a symbol of medicine in the United States.
It's a Hermes magic wand.
Well, exactly. Do you ever wonder why the hermetic caduceus, adorned with its snakes and wings, became the symbol for modern-day medicine? Could it somehow be connected to how the Byzantine Empire oversaw the adoption, sculpting, and institutionalization of Christianity? I know, that's a lot, right? Just a few points to ponder as we open the book on a very thought-filled episode of Newsgram. Paganism? Symbolism? Have modern symbologists missed something? Maybe. The rod of the caduceus belongs to Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine, so no mystery there. There, however, is some debate in the medical community about why these two symbols are combined. For now, let's step away from Hermes and take a broader look at what it all means.
This is another way to look at duality. Meaning ancient Abrahamic progression has to do maybe more with suffering. Abraham was about to kill his son, and then some angelic higher wisdom said, don't do it, just whatever it takes to suffer through with your son, right? And then like the polar opposite of that is ancient Greek paganism, where Kronos had a vision that Zeus was going to rise up to overthrow him, just like Kronos did his father, Uranus. And so what did he do? As per the ancient Greek paganism, he devoured, they say, his child. And devouring can mean like physically, like because there's pictures of Kronos eating babies. Or there's another way to devour, mentally devour. These are opposite opposing ways, theisms, really, the way to look at the universe.
Duality is all about balance. It comes in many different forms, depending on your beliefs, and it's been there since the beginning of time. It's also very stigmatic. One of the many intriguing ideas addressed in the new book, DaVinci's Mental Code, by Palabor Iverson.
Why should we be so stigmatic about maybe a natural law of the universe? Because every long-standing philosophical, metaphysical philosophy of time, cross-culture, they talk about the same thing, whether it's ancient Chinese with the yin and the yang, ancient Abrahamic, it's good versus evil. Ancient Buddhism, they call it eternalism versus annihilationism. Ancient Native Americans call it dark and light, or light and dark. Ancient Hermeticists, ancient Greeks call it above and below. And the New Agers call it positive and negative. I think, and I think we're all talking about the same thing. So that's the idea of...
Yeah, I agree. It is what it is. If you're on a quest to understand the way things are, or the symbolism we use in modern society and where it comes from, this book might be of interest to you. How about Leonardo DaVinci? We could spend a week on his works and the philosophy behind the things that he did, which brings me to the other symbol I wanted to put in your mind's eye, the Vitruvian Man. Da Vinci's concept drawing of the human male body and its various proportions.
His left eye is much more comparatively dark than his right eye. Who knows why he did it? I just never heard anybody talk about it.
Does the fact that one eye is clearly darker than the other have anything to do with the duality of the universe? I couldn't tell you. But one thing I do know for sure is that the book, DaVinci's Mental Code, began taking shape the minute the author had a vision of the Vitruvian Man's left eye being darker than his right eye.
And so I was meditating in 2018, like literally, I don't know if prayer or meditation or just being stubborn and angry. Like, tell me, like I'm as bipolar as my mother. Tell me why. Like if there's anything out there, anything that communicates down to us, tell me. And all of a sudden I'm looking at the Vitruvian Man. And I didn't even know the name of it. Maybe I just recently watched the Da Vinci Code. I don't know. Or maybe just because of studying various things, the image is always flashed, tends to be flashed a lot. I don't know. I was drawn to it somehow. So I called my friend, James Oliver, who studies a lot of this more than I do. He goes, the Vitruvian Man. And that's how, and then we started talking about it. And when I started looking at it, I go, the eyes, there's an equilateral triangle shading around the left eye and more of a circular shading around the right eye, stuff like this. And then I go, I wonder if his head's tilting right. Because if it is, he might be a man of conscience, Leonardo da Vinci, because the idea of these migraines I was having, and eventually I stumbled across Dr. Ian McGilchrist, who has a whole theory. He's written 2 books on it, hemispheric theory. And he just recently wrote The Matter with Things. And so I start listening to him and I go, that falls in line with the Vitruvian Man.
Did Leonardo da Vinci encode clues to important psychological concepts within the Vitruvian Man? How do the concepts of dualism, sacred geometry, and Hermeticism relate to each other when you observe this ancient illustration? It's all explained in the book Da Vinci's Mental Code by Palabor Iverson. It's available now online at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Archway Publishing, Walmart, and all kinds of other places. And yes, there are links in the show's description. And that will do it for this edition of Newsgram from WebTalkRadio.com.